Everyone, welcome to episode number 58 of the Lift Free and Diet Hard podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Coates. And I'm really excited to bring you guys Don Saladino here today. So Don and I were hanging out in just outside of Seattle at Luca Hosevar's event a couple months ago. Got to sit down and have dinner. And I had to make this happen for you guys. I think you don't already know who Don is. I got a little bit of a list of stuff you got to know. So some of you guys might be familiar with Don. Just by if you're not familiar with Don, you're familiar with his work. You've seen Hugh Jackman in the Wolverine movies. You've seen Ryan Reynolds, all this. Don's the guy behind that. Don has been the trainer for a lot of well-known celebrities. But you're a lot more than that too. I know you were just recently on the cover of Muscle and Fitness magazine. You've done that before. You got a good relationship with those guys. And you ran a gym in New York City. It's called Drive 495 for 50 years.
And right now, 443. Two of them, yeah.
Two of them. And you're talking to me now from the barn, which is on your own property. And I've got a video tour just before this. And this thing is one of the most gorgeous things I've ever seen. This is like the rock iron paradise, universe type stuff, right? And that's the gold standard, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, and you've got a big online presence right now.
Yep.
You've got an app, you've got apparel, you've got online programs. So it's a real pleasure to have you on here.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate it. You keep thanking me, but it was great to meet you and a group of the guys out in Luca's place. He did such a phenomenal job. And you were like, listen, let's go do this. I'm like, why not? Come on. let's have fun.
Well, it goes to something that you obviously know who John Berardi is, and John has talked about this and written articles on it. You have a lot of demands for your time. You are literally saying no to training celebrities at this point because you have a lot of things you want to focus on. So the question is how do you navigate saying no, and what are sort of the criteria for you to say yes to projects and asks of your time?
You know what? It's a good question because it's still something that I'm learning to grip with, right? So for about 23 years, I've been a trainer. I've been doing one-on-one sessions, right? I keep throwing the number out there because I figured it out, but I've probably done over 40,000 1-hour sessions in my life, right? And I remember there was a span of probably 10 to 15 years where every month I was either on a plane or going to a course. And you know how it is. It's this thirst to learn. And I still have that. I was in here with Pat Davidson training a little bit earlier. Pat's a good friend, brilliant. And when I get around someone like Pat or Charlie Weingroff or the muscle doc, Jordan Shallow, you're always sitting there and you become, these are good friends of mine, but you become like the student again. And it's nothing about ego, who knows more. I mean, those guys are brilliant guys, but every time I get around them, I sit there and I learn. So my thirst to learn and to always become a better coach will be there. But I have a good business sense. And I understand that to be able to scale your time and to be able to move forward in the industry, you have to start making some decisions that aren't necessarily that easy. One of them was closing my club after 15 years. I had good timing. I had a lot of luck. And we could talk about that a little bit later on. But I think now when I get calls from celebrities or people, I never, initially try and say no to them. I try and first feel out, do they really need handholding every single day? Do they need someone on top of them every single day? Because someone like Ryan doesn't. Like Ryan Reynolds can, train on his own, and we could do little touch-ups here and there and catch up and this and that. He's fine with that. So I think when it's working with someone, that's what I prefer. And if they need to work with me, they either have to come here or we can do it over Zoom if I have time. And if I don't have time, I'm kicking it to someone that I respect and that I believe can give the type of time that they want to deserve.
And that's one of the values of having that kind of network. I'm big on abundance mindset, and it's no different, giving a celebrity inquiry to someone you trust than it is you're a trainer with a busy schedule and then you have a network of people that you can trust. I've been saying no to most new client inquiries. Thankfully, I have a trainer that I mentor who's at the same facility as me, who's great. I know a lot of other people, and I can funnel stuff all over the place. It's funny you mentioned Jordan Shallow. He's coming to town here, and I'll shout it out to everybody who's local. It's December 18th and 19th. And so he posts up he's doing his upper body prescript 2 days. So I post it up, tag him and say, hey, Jordan's coming to town, blah, blah, blah. Jordan tags him back and says, Andrew doesn't know it yet, but he's teaching at this thing. So we're going to grab dinner. And I'm somehow, hasn't even told me yet what I'm doing, but I'm a part of this event. So it's going to be good to see him.
But you know what? Jordan's like a brother to me. Like he literally, him and I we spoke a couple of days ago, he's probably one of the guys. I don't mean to shift to Jordan right now, but he's probably one of the guys I'm looking at in the industry right now. And I'm like, this is the guy to watch. Like, I love everything about him. I love everything he does. I love how he teaches. I love his social media. I love him in the gym. Like, there's not one thing I can look at this guy on and critique. He's just, I think he's just, right now, I feel like he's like becoming the guy. And I'm proud to see him going off in that direction. So if anyone is listening to this, watch Jordan and my man Andrew, because I'm sure they're both going to be delivering a lot of great stuff.
Well, abundance mindset right there, just like say Kai pigs about other people. But two, you hit on a concept that I've been big on for a while. I always look to people who they're deeply rooted in what I call the respected evidence-based community in the fitness industry, which we know is kind of this small little corner and people fight amongst each other and do stupid shit. But there's this big, vast fitness and dieting industry. But I'm always impressed with the people who've got the ability to break through into the mainstream. You're a fantastic example. You've crafted a very big following. You're in these major publications. You're on TV. You've appeared in like daytime TV shows and shit like that. And Jordan Shallow is breaking in there. I love people like your friend Ben Bruno, who's done the same stuff. Ben's amazing.
Awesome. And simple. You know what I'm saying? That's what I love about it. Like, Ben's almost like, why are you making things so complicated? Like, that's his attitude. Like, this is just simple. Like, when Ben and I got together to train, we trained 3 things. It was like 3 things, and we were out. It's simple. I like it. I like simple.
My first introduction a very long time ago, when I first started training to TRX stuff, single leg stuff, and landmine stuff, was Ben Bruno's T-Nation stuff. Like, straight up. That's where I got that stuff, the first exposure to it. Because before that, it was all bro bodybuilding magazines, which I still love.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Ben is one of the, I think Ben's probably pound for pound one of the most sneaky, strong human beings you're ever going to meet. Like, I don't know if Ben weighs 180 pounds wet. I've seen Ben front squat, like, I think 540. Like, I mean, he's an absolute unit. He's a great athlete. He can swing a golf club. He's been taking up tennis. Ben and I last week, where we were laughing, we were on the phone like 2 high school girls for like an hour, just having a conversation. Like, Ben, we've been talking for an hour. Like, we just started laughing. But anytime I get, so these are just the people that you're mentioning right now. These are people I love to be around. They bring a lot to the table when it comes to knowledge, but more importantly, the human beings that they are, I think it even out trumps how smart those guys are.
And I love these kind of people, and I've been very fortunate to have gotten to know a lot of them. I've never met Ben, but like Jordan Syatt's been on my podcast a bunch of times. Sohee Lee's a good friend.
Yeah,
and we've got these big followers, Spencer Nadolski, and they're deeply rooted in that evidence-based world, but yet they're breaking through the mainstream. The other guy that I want to strangle and wish everybody in the world could see him is Mark Fisher, but Mark doesn't have much of a following, and he's speaking in the corporate realm, and he's doing the things he wants to do.
Mark's unbelievable. He's again a friend, a fellow, a gym owner in New York City. Mark and I used to have lunch probably every quarter.
Wow.
And we would meet somewhere and in the city, and we would just sit and talk about. It wasn't a pissing contest. It was never like who's doing better. It was always like, dude, what are you struggling with? What am I struggling with? And I think that's when you really start, knowing who the good ones are, when you can sit down and have a conversation. It's like, I've had a lot of conversation with people, and I'll feel like it just becomes this, you feel like, are they having a contest with you? They're just spitting out, they're trying to one up you. Like, that's not the point of it. But I think a lot of people that I respect in the industry, it's like, all right, well, where are you having a tough time right now? And every single name that we just mentioned, we've showed, like, I've shown them, they've shown me, like, that vulnerable side, that side of like, oh, you know what? I got to think about this. Like, I don't know how are we going to pivot from this? What's the right decision? And then, I think the whole thought process, that whole mindset of training and figuring out the program and the puzzle and the equation and that individual starts becoming about business. And that becomes fun because that's very quantifiable also. And I quantify that business by like, all right, how much fun are you having and how much money are you making? Because if you're having fun, and when I say having fun, I mean, for me to be able to pay my employees more money, that's fun. Like, I used to love giving Christmas bonuses. I used to love sitting down with someone, looking them in the eye and be like, yeah, well, you're getting a raise. Like, I love that shit. Like, to me, that was fun. So I think, none of us want to talk about success being from a monetary standpoint, but hell yeah, I'm going to talk about that. The more money I'm making, the more money people around me are going to be making, and the happier they're going to be. So I think that's pretty cool also.
I'm a big believer in this. I believe that trainers should know their value and should charge their worth and not be afraid to say, I want to earn a really good living, because we do deserve to earn a really good living. There's no pension plan for what we do. And I'd love to see passionate and skilled and caring people stay in the industry for the long term, because if you go in with this attitude, well, money's bad, oh, I'm a bad person if I'm charging for my services or too much for my services, then, well, you're going to burn out and flame out. And I would rather be able to secure a nice retirement, but then to leverage the growing reach and capacity I have to enrich other people's careers, this pure abundance mindset that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I used to get it because I was probably, I still know to this day, a coach that would charge a higher fee than I would charge, but that was my business. Something I wouldn't really discuss. Something it would get out sometimes, but that was my business, and that's what I wanted to value my time at. And then you start asking, all right, well, how do you turn away certain people? And it's like, all right, like I can train, one of the biggest celebrities, and he's going to pay me X, but I don't know if it's not really, great use of my time, then I feel like I'm kind of staying in purgatory. I feel like I'm never really evolving. Like, to just say, like, people will call me up and, well, how do I train celebrities? I'm like, well, what do you mean? I don't know. Like, just you train them like you train any other people. Like, it doesn't, like, they're not made any differently. Like, in fact, I think sometimes it becomes a little bit more difficult because of the time changes and the constant schedule changes, and the fact they're away from their families and all these things that, like, professional athletes don't really have to deal with on such a level. Like, we know what Tom Brady's schedule is going to be for the next 18 weeks. Like, we don't know what Ryan Reynolds' schedule is going to be for the next week when he's on set, because you don't know what's going to blow up. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if he's going to hurt himself because he does his own stunts. You don't know a lot of his own stunts. You don't know all this stuff. So, you start looking at, like, what is the project? Is it feasible? Does it fit in your schedule from a time standpoint? Or if monetarily it's not a value, like if you're not, like, I don't really care about the money piece of it. I care about how it's going to excel my career. So if I'm going into a job and there's a big celebrity and they're working with me and they're like, listen, I can only afford this, but this is going to be a huge project and this is going to be a ton of PR, and I want to get you involved on this YouTube and do this and do that. Like, I'm in. Like, I'm 100%. I'm like, sign me up. This is fun. It's fun. We can create some content. I can help build my following a bit. I can go supply a job for them. But, like, if a celeb's going to come in and be like, all right, I'm going to pay you $1,000 an hour, whatever it is, like, I start saying to myself, well, for me to commute to this city or this area, it's taking away this amount of time, which is taking away from me being able to film. It's taking away from me to be able to do this and do that. It's taking away from my family. So when you start looking at, wow, it's $1,000 an hour, like, what is it? What does that really come to now? Well, you have a half-hour commuting each way, so that's really $500 an hour, right? And then I'm losing all this opportunity to be able to go and shoot during, and maybe in that one shoot I could have made 10 or 20,000 bucks from that one shoot. So you start weighing things out. It's not always about money, but you really have to weigh things out, and you got to look at it from a business sense. This is a business. This isn't our hobby. This isn't like, oh, the personal trainer, like, he's just showing up and his job's not. No, we've got to pay our bills. Like, we've got to pay taxes. Like, we've got to worry about putting away. Like, we've got to look at opportunity. It's like anything else. It's like the individual working in corporate America saying, oh, all right, my opportunity might be better off at Goldman Sachs than JP Morgan. Like, it's, what is the opportunity? What's the pay? What's the time commitment? What's the reach? What's the room for growth? It's the same thing as a coach if you're putting yourself into the right situation.
I hope everybody absorbs all of that.
Yeah.
And I'll add a thought too from my observations about, especially the point you said about, because I didn't want to be like, hey, celebrity training, all that sort of stuff, because you're a lot more than that. But let's answer this question, because I know people will probably think it, how to, quote, get celebrity clients. The thing that I've noticed with our friends and the industry leaders who have worked with celebrities, there's two components. One is having the fundamental basis of the skill, looking the part, yada, yada, yada. But also it happens to be being in the right place at the right time a lot of the time. It is a component of luck. It happened to you with Hugh Jackman, both components.
100%.
Mark
100%.
Magna and Alex Rodriguez is a very good example of that. I don't know Ben Bruno's story behind his famous clients, but I do know of any number of other examples where people just happen to be there.
Every single one of us, there was some luck involved. There was some timing component involved. There was some referral component involved. Like, I might have gotten Annie Hathaway, who I work with right now. I got her through John Krasinski and Emily Blunt. And I got John and Emily, I think, through Blake Lively. And I got Blake through Ryan. And I got Ryan through someone else. It's like everything. It's a snowball. Oh, but I got them through Hugh Jackman. And who did I get Hugh Jackman from? Oh, I got Hugh Jackman from my buddy Rico Wesley, who was a trainer who basically had a move, asked me if he could train Hugh at my club. And I said, sure. I didn't really know who Hugh was. And he basically, Hugh saw me train and was like, all right, this guy can move a little bit. And he looks the part. And Rico had to move because they were having triplets. So then Rico asked me to take over. I said, yeah, sure. I'd be happy to take over. And it's like, okay, so if Rico didn't hand me that, would I still have gotten celebrities? Yes, because I started getting, Billy Crudup from this one and
Really
Cindy Crawford from this one. And all these other people came from other areas. But, it really is this domino effect from different areas. But like, if you think for a second, I wasn't assisted or I wasn't helped through my whole business career, like you're out of your mind. Like, I can't tell you how many times I had my head between my legs in business or something was happening, or in 07, 08, when Lehman went under and Bear Stearns went under, or it might've been 08, 09. I don't remember, it's so long ago, but oh my God, there were so many points of like, oh shit, what's happening? But people don't want to look at that. They just look at like the finished product and they just think like, oh, he's just sitting there like this. Like, no, this is a grind. And it's tough. And I also don't believe, like, with online training, all this online coaching, which I think is fantastic right now. And I love, like, don't give up on the fact that you still need to be a coach. Like I still think if someone, in my opinion, if someone's doing online training, if they have never put in the hours in a gym, like I just, in my book, like I haven't seen someone yet who's credible. If they haven't put in those countless hours, or being able to deal with different personalities, or cleaning up weights, or, just looking at different people move as you're training, like there's so much knowledge. Like one of the best experiences I had was working at Equinox for a year back in 1999. Like when I saw that business get bought by a corporation and go from mom and pop owned from the Ericos to a corporation, and I saw that transition, holy shit. When I saw them begin to lay people off, oh my God. When I left, oh my God. When I had to start my own business, oh my God. It's like there were all these moments that, going back now, I don't know, like when people say, well, if I could just predict the stock market, yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, put all my money down on Apple 40 years ago and it's over, right? But like, I would not have bypassed all of these tough moments I had to go through, because that helped me become that much smarter in what I do today.
I think those kind of things do inevitably set us up to be better, not to kind of go, because, not to be back and forth with the tennis ball, but I worked at a commercial gym for 6 years, and for the most part, it was pretty good, but I had a lot of that environment. There was a lot of bad management and a lot of unethical shit going on with some of the employees. And I always pushed against it, battled, and it put me in jeopardy of losing my job a few times. At one point, I don't think I've ever shared this publicly, but 3 employees ganged up and accused me of saying something homophobic to them.
Oh, now, wow.
My LGBTQ plus clients then laughed when they found out the story. I was suspended for 2 days, threatened with my job, offered a transfer of locations. I said no. And ultimately, the ownership and upper management even came and said to me they knew it wasn't true, but they had to cover their asses. Anyway, that was it. That was it for me. So I left terrible months later, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it pushed me out the door, set up my own business, contract at my friend's gym, and everything that has happened. I started traveling, I started meeting people, the podcast happened, writing for the publications I have. I'm forever grateful. And then a lot of other trainers followed me out, which is the first time I've said this publicly. We got sued unsuccessfully by the old company because they were really mad at me for all of the trainers that followed me. And they eventually went bankrupt and were sold and restructured, and the lawsuit went away. So we won. and I wasn't ever worried about it, but there's all this stuff that people don't know that goes on in the background. And all they see is that polished perfection and their idea of success. So
Yep.
the stuff that you're going through right now is actually the stuff that's going to lead you to being more successful.
Oh yeah. No, I totally believe that. That's why I think that, for the coach out there listening and they're like, oh God, like, where am I going? Like, just keep your head down and don't be afraid to take risks, of course. Like, I think that's one thing. People are just scared of taking risks, or they're scared of losing sessions, or, they're scared of putting themselves out there. Like I remember in my career, I had to rebuild my training book, I think 4 or 5 times. Like, it was when I left Equinox, I had to rebuild it. I went to one-on-one homes, and then left there at one point. I had to rebuild it. I started working at the training ground, this place, Elysium, which is a one-on-one facility. So I had to rebuild it. By 2005, I had to rebuild my book fully 3 times. Then I went to Drive, rebuilt my entire book. And then I got rid of all my clients. I handed them to my trainers because I needed my trainers to stay on because we were slow in the beginning. So I got rid of them, gave them to the people, and then I had to rebuild again. So it was like 5 times in my life that I had to just rebuild training clients. I'm not even talking about businesses. Like, you can't be afraid. Like, you got to trust your ability. If you did it once, you could do it again, but put yourself in a good opportunity.
Now, something that I sort of alluded to earlier, but I'm definitely curious about is you, like, certainly a handful of other people that I really respect. I always think of Brian Cron in this light too. You have one foot firmly steeped in that aesthetic, bodybuilding. Again, you're on the cover of Muscle and Fitness magazine, that world, but you're also firmly entrenched and rooted in what I call the evidence-based community. And those two things don't always coexist very well. So how have you found that balance? And if anything, has the combination actually been an asset to your career?
I think it's been a huge asset to my career. I think there's always someone to kind of point the finger. I actually, one area that people don't realize that I'm very tuned into is golf fitness, right? I'm the head of golf fitness for Golf Channel for Golf Pass, Revolution Golf since 2011, and my club Drive 495 was a golf fitness training facility. So we had 5 indoor simulators. We had a handful of golf pros. We would do kinematic sequencing every day, and it was funny then because the golf guys would be, everyone was kind of bashing. Like, the fitness guys would be like, "Oh, he does golf," and the golf guys would be like, "No, he doesn't. He does fitness." And it's like, no, I just create better athletes. Like, that's what I do, and I know more about nutrition than most other coaches do. Especially when it comes to, I don't even want to say just being overall healthy, hormonally, et cetera, but aesthetically, like how to change body composition while giving the body what it needs to be successful. I'm not talking about bodybuilding nutrition. I'm talking about balancing it out both ways. How do we look better, but actually we're not feeding our body dead food? So yeah, I think it has helped because now a lot of people are saying, and I appreciate the compliment, thank you very much. But people are, Mark Fisher paid me a compliment that way, said the same thing. But I think a lot of people are looking at me now as the guy who, all right, yes, he really cares about coaching and training and the evidence-based community, but he's also someone that needs to make sure that he takes his shirt off, looks a certain way, and that his clients do it as well, because it's their livelihood. So for me, it's just fun. I know they say you can't be everything to everyone, but it's what I'm doing. It's what I enjoy, and it's what I'll continue to do.
And the whole getting people like looking a certain way, we definitely know that social media can create. I'm not negative about social media. We just have to be alert to kind of the pitfalls. Sure. But we still have a big battle to fight with all the people who will see photoshopped or the stage athletes, this temporary moments in time, and not realizing how that's completely unsustainable. You also have to have the skill to be able to get someone to look a certain way for the shirtless day on set for the movie. But people have to realize too that that's not what even Hugh Jackman's walking around looking like all the time.
Well, you know what? I think I did a contest prep. I've never competed in a bodybuilding show, but I did one a long time ago to actually see what it felt like. And it was miserable, and I was successful and I got my body to a certain point. But after my last 2 covers of Muscle and Fitness, I felt great. I played in a hockey game after one of them. Like, after the night of my shoot, I went off and I played in a competitive hockey game. And I wasn't like at Cheesecake Factory feeling like I had to order the whole menu. or I wasn't like holding onto a stop sign because I couldn't walk because I was so carb depleted. No, like I went into those covers. I was really proud of how I looked. I will be the first one to tell you that I was not the leanest guy ever on those covers, but listen, my body fat was down to the low single digits. I had DEXA scans to prove it. I've done it naturally. I'm super proud of what I've done. That is what I promote. When people come to me and they want to start doing like water manipulation and all this stuff, I know how to do it. It ain't my thing. It's just not my thing, especially with celebrities, because they have to perform. And you don't know, they don't know when their shirtless scene's going to be. They think they do, but they might be in a tank top all movie. So what the hell am I going to manipulate their water or their carbs for? To the point, no, I'm gonna preach principles 365 days a year, and I've got this line: 2 weeks out. I always want you 2 weeks out. If Sebastian Stan has got to get ready for the cover of Men's Health, we're roughly 2 to 3 weeks out from being able to get him ready. And what do? We remove the cheats. We tighten a few things up. We might increase water for a certain amount of time. We might start increasing workout duration, improving sleep, doing all these things to just, really just kind of sharpen them up, give them a tan. Really important, like there's little things that people just don't want to talk about, but it does. There are things about the industry that do bother me. Like I do get bothered with Photoshop, and you're going to ask me why. I'm going to give you the answer why. And I get bothered, especially with fake weights, and even when it's a joke or it's like a specific magazine shoot. I've never used a fake weight. Like if you see me in any of the magazines, like I might have, I'm a strong guy, but like when you're on the incline press and you've got a bar on, like you're not always going to throw 225 on the bar. Like you're going to throw 135 on because you're sitting there for 45 to 60 seconds holding it. And you're like, oh my God. And you have to do it over and over and over. So it gets heavy. But I've been to these shoots and they're like, do you want to use that? I'm like, no, I'm not going to sit here with a fake 3 wheels on each side. And I'm not going to have some young 15-year-old looking at me going, how the hell can he do that? Like, oh my God, I'm not even close. And then it puts him or her into this bad mindset. And then they want to resort to steroids because they're turning around after a couple years, not seeing the progress. And they're like, well, I just can't do. And it's like, I think as a fitness professional, we have a responsibility to be honest. I think that, and I have friends of mine that are on performance enhancing substances. They will admit they're on performance enhancing substances. And I admire them for that. And I love it. And they're like, why am I going to lie? I'm going to tell you, like, right? So don't lie. When someone's getting up there and they're being interviewed, they're like, oh, I'm natural. And then you're like, are you really? And they're like, well, I'm clean now. I'm like, but you weren't 3 months ago. You're cycling off. Don't say you're natural. Like, just, and you know why? I believe that giving that false perception to a lot of these young kids who are in the industry, it's really tough because I see it with my daughter and my son. They're 14 and 13 and they're on TikTok and they're on IG and they're looking at the stuff that's just fake. And it's scary. Like, like these are young kids. Like their brains aren't fully formed yet. They're not fully educated. The stuff, they don't know what's real or not real. Like they'll come to me and be like, Dad, do you think that's real? And I'm like, no, that's not real. Like, and it's so sad that I have to have that conversation with them because, their little minds, these little souls, they're just sitting there and like inside, they're like almost a little hurt or a little bit lost. And I really believe in this industry, we should hold ourselves to a higher standard. We need to be honest. We need to not give false perceptions on what it took to get there. And if someone's going into, if someone's taking something to get somewhere, I truly believe that they should admit it.
No, I'm more than agree with that. Like you said, especially if someone is explicitly saying they're not, and yet I don't like, I don't like the witch hunt of like who's on steroids, but that's the other end of the spectrum, right? That's the wrong kind of focus.
Sure.
But I think there's a certain combination of pure muscular size and extreme leanness and certain features that you can look at someone. I don't want to really go call anyone out, but let's just say, like, we'll use The Rock, for example. I mean, the likelihood that The Rock is an entirely natural person is extremely low. We'll leave it there. We know Sylvester Stallone at his age and the grainy leanness, the guy has gotten caught bringing shit into Australia. Right. So like, that's fine. Like that's
he's also like 70. Sly's like 70 years old now, isn't he?
He's more than 70. He's got to be like 75. And he looks.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the guy looks unbelievable. Like, let him go. Like he's like, if he can live to 100 and take something, then I'm like, great. When my best friend at 42, 43 years old, I find dead in his room after 3 days. This is my head trainer. And it was because his testosterone was so high because he was injecting it for years and didn't have anyone monitoring it. And I saw this guy go through the worst battle. It was a drug addiction because he couldn't, every time he get off of it, he couldn't see the doctors. No one knew. Like, he just, and he died. And it's like, that's too young. And that's what I don't want people to see people go through. But if Stallone lives to 95 years old and he looks the way that he does, I'm like, good for you, dude. It's amazing.
What you just said, like, I write for Generation Iron, and of course I follow their Instagram, and like,
great guys, great
guys, love them to death. But every third post is a dead bodybuilder, dead competitor. It's like, holy
God,
shit,
it's so tough. I mean, we lost a couple people that I knew this year at the Olympia. George Peterson, unbelievable, like one of the nicest human beings in the sport. It sucks. I mean, Sean Roden, who was the other one? One of the smartest bodybuilding coaches. Mountain dog training.
John Meadows. Yeah. He's
John Meadows.
Yeah. John Meadows.
Unbelievable person. Like, that was just 3 huge names in the industry that are gone probably in the last 5 months. I mean, that's scary.
And I'm gonna definitely sort of like pause on Meadows because like I know he'd had some health stuff before. So
yeah,
I'm gonna be very, very quick not to like point the finger at any specific thing with John. But by reputation, John was the nicest.
Oh yeah, no. And I wasn't pointing the finger and saying alluding to steroids. I was saying that it was still a death in the sport. Yeah. And it's still someone that lost their life. So, and
I wanted to say that just so that way no one thought that that's what we were saying, just because.
No, not at all.
John was a really great guy.
No, John was a gem, and I know John was having health problems for years. God rest his soul. I mean, he was a beautiful person.
Yeah, I never got the chance to meet him. He was always one of the quote, ambitions that I wanted to have him on the podcast and bring him in, and it never happened. And obviously now it's too late. It's like making the point of going to see your favorite bands, right, live in concert, because you never know what's going to happen. I got lucky and saw Linkin Park here in Edmonton the only time they ever came here. Really good show. And then Chester's dead. I never got to see Soundgarden. I go to see Tool every time I can because those guys are amazing. But fuck, I mean, Danny, the drummer, is 60 already. Like, how the hell did these guys get up there?
I saw them in concert right before COVID at the Barclays. They put on a hell of a show, man. They were unbelievable.
They were booked for Edmonton in the summer of 2020, canceled. But before that was announced, there were 2 shows in Toronto. So I flew to Toronto for the weekend, saw both shows before all this shit happened. Best thing I ever did. And I'm actually going to be in at an event in February called Raise the Bar in Orlando. So I'm looking, I'm like, then I come back from Lucas thing. There's all sorts of shit with the travel. I'm like, the hell with going to the US anymore until all this shit's over, all this testing requirements.
Yep.
No way.
Yep.
And then Tool announces concerts in like the US. And I look at, there's one in Orlando in February. I'm like, all right, let me check the dates. It goes conference, day off, Tool, and then Tool's in Tampa. I'm like, fuck it. Book Tool in Orlando, book Tool in Tampa, book the conference. I'm going down.
Dude, they're so good. They're so good. They were so much fun live too. I would go to them again in a second. Fantastic show.
They're one of the only bands I'll travel for. The Deftones. I really want to see the Deftones, and
I haven't seen them.
I was planning to travel to Denver the year that everything got scrubbed because T Nation headquarters is an hour outside of Denver. So I was going to go down, watch the concert, go hang out for a day with Danny and Chris and the editors there. But that never happened. But that's on my list to do. Now you're also presenting at Perform Better. You want to tell everybody about them too?
Yeah, it's more of a business talk. It's on it's not in the past, a lot was on social media. Now it's kind of like the things you need besides social media, how to do branding deals, and which a lot of these businesses don't even really know how to structure. I mean, everyone's looking at social media following, thinking that that's important. I mean, it's really about email list and distribution and the systems that you have set up in place. And I give some good key examples on things I built through COVID, which was really awesome, and grew to be extremely successful for me. So yeah, I think I'm just trying to show a lot of these coaches, and Perform Better gave me the opportunity. I just did a fat loss talk for them, but on the other hand, now I'm doing this business talk. So they gave me Chris Poyer, who's an amazing human being and a good friend, gave me the opportunity years ago to kind of choose what direction I wanted to go. And it really, again, I never wanted to be a pissing contest. I kind of looked at the speakers and I said to myself, what do I think that there's lacking in? Like, what's the area that how can I add value? Am I really adding a ton of value by getting up there and talking about performance and fat loss? Or am I adding a lot more value of showing all these fitness professionals on how to scale their business and, not to worry about certain things that the industry is telling you to worry about, and learn from my mistakes, learn from my successes, and go, here's the roadmap. So I'm excited. I'm speaking for them in Rhode Island this Saturday morning. I'm giving a mastermind talk a week later through my own platform. And then I already booked Perform Better Germany. I'll be in Munich in June. So I'll be speaking for them out there. I'm also doing a full day seminar as well. And I'm actually giving 2 lectures, and I'm doing a lecture, a hands-on, and a full day seminar. So they're going to put me to work a little bit, which I said, if I'm going out there, I want to make sure that they're pushing me a little bit.
Might as well do all of the above. You're going to go that far. So you alluded to some stuff, but what are some of the things that, fitness professionals are getting caught up in that don't matter as much? Where are they being misled?
I don't want to say that they don't matter. I still think that you need to do it, but I know social media, it's been very tough for a lot of professionals lately because they're not really seeing their numbers growing as much. And I think they're starting to compare themselves to a lot of other people that might be showing growth. And, there is this entertainment effect of social media that I think is really important. And social media is something that I focus on every single day. But my number hasn't grown in a week. It doesn't matter. My business is growing, right? Like it's like, okay, I think I'm stuck at like 312,000. I'm probably about to hit 313,000, but it's not growing the way it used to grow. But my business is growing. I just had a phenomenal week in business. So I want them to focus on, the bottom line number, and focus on those things, and focus on, developing an email list, right? Like, what do you have out there? If you don't have a product to sell, at least get a newsletter out there, at least start trying to focus on ways to, it's this line I stole from Bill Gates, if content is king, then distribution is the kingdom, right? And it's just like, well, how are we going to distribute all this great content and all these great ideas? And you could be the best. Or Dr. Greg Rose taught me this. Greg's a good friend, and also I consider him a mentor. He taught me this, I think, 18 years ago when he came to look at my location before I opened it up. And he said, dude, you can create the greatest golf club in the world. It can hit a golf ball 50 yards further with anyone who's holding it. But if no one knows about it, it ain't going to matter. And it's one of those lines that just stuck in my head. For anyone who doesn't know Greg Rose, you should. I think the godfather of golf fitness, and one of the founders of TPI. But yeah, I think just showing them, how to get started, how to set up the platform, and how to get the snowball effect going. Because work becomes really fun when you start waking up every day and you're looking at Sam Card, or you're looking at your business really start to grow, and you're seeing revenue come in, and you're like, oh my God, like this is really cool. Like this isn't contingent upon how many hours I train today. Like this is about like these systems I'm putting into place are really starting to pay dividends and work. So yeah, that's what I want to show a lot of people.
Well, just as you were saying that, I pulled up your website and I put my email address in there. So you got one more email subscriber.
Love you.
And I do that as an illustration because, we hear things and we say, oh yeah, we'll do this and whatever. And then we don't end up doing it. Now,
yeah.
Even if, let's say, the listener says, well, maybe I'm not in a place where I need to buy something from Don. If you are reading the emails, the way that the copy is written, the sales copy is written, the way that value's added from someone like yourself or a Jordan Side who's really good at it, you can learn a lot from that. I mean, you guys are the ones who studied this stuff and are applying the things in books like The Ultimate Sales Letter is a really good example. Jordan put me onto that. So one of the best ways to learn these skills is to watch people who've done it really well. And there it is on the page. There it is in your inbox right there.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you brought that up. I'll never forget. I brought my team from Drive. I want to say it was 7-8 years ago to a Perform Better conference. I was speaking at it. So I brought a bunch of them up, and they had at Perform Better, they had 3 different speakers. I'll never forget one or two of them. We were all standing by a room, and I'm like, who's speaking in here? And they kind of mentioned the name, and they like rolled their eyes to it. Like the guy wasn't good. And I'm like, what are you rolling your eyes to? Like, oh, I don't know. I listened to him talk once. I didn't really agree with what they said. And I don't know. I'm like, no, you're going to go in here and listen right now. And they're like, well, why? Like, I don't want to. I said, because this guy's got 600 people sitting in the room right now. and you don't. And guess what? I didn't at the time. So he's doing something really right. And we're all going to go in there and we're going to learn what it is. And we're going to talk about it after the session. And we went in for an hour 15 and we listened to what it was. And, you know, listen, knowledge, still fine. Like he'll probably claim that he's not the smartest human being or the most analytical, or he's not a muscle doc or a Charlie. He would admit for a second that he's not. But man, was that energy good. Man, was that execution good? Was that delivery good? Was that engagement good? Was that marketing message important? And it's what that crowd needed to hear. And that's what I was really impressed about. And it was a good learning tool. And I think at the very least, if someone doesn't want to buy, I always say, like, whether you want to buy something from me or not, it really doesn't matter. Like, that's why do I do YouTube? It's like, I'm not making millions of dollars off of YouTube, but I invest, you know, hundreds of dollars a week into building content for it. And I put it in there because, you know, it's a library and it's a source and it's a place for me to be able to send people to have questions answered and to feel comfortable, right? My social media, like, fine. Like, yes, I know I make money on specific things, but it's not growing. Like most people would say, well, why am I even bothering? Because my attitude is to just like, it's like, if you build it, he will come type of saying, like, just coach, just put out good content, just connect, even if it's with one new person a day. Like, you build a business off of that. And sometimes we start thinking about like, oh, scaling and oh, Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. Like, dude, just go coach. Just go coach. If you don't have money to do this program or sign up, like, just at least follow the individual and get all their free content. Maybe DM them and see if they answer a question. You know, a lot of times I get questions asked and it's like, if someone's really like abrupt and direct, I'm like, why am I going to answer this? Like, don't like, or if they send me a nice note, then I'm like, yeah, like, talk to me. Like, it's like anything else. It's just, I think people want things too fast. Don't forget manners. Don't forget specific things. These are all still really important things.
I just wrote an article on this. It's on my website. Actually, I used you as an example in one section. I'll actually send it to you after, but it's titled How to Build a Brand Worthy of Following. And it alludes to, of course, building following and social media, but I really focus in on the brand side. And there's like a bunch of sections. And then finally, it's like, okay, and now social media. But before that is something I like to refer to as career capital. And I look at people, I use Luca as a lot of examples as well. But one of my favorite things is, and Jordan Side always talks about, is long form content. That's one piece of it. I don't get paid a lot for the articles that I write for some of these publications. It's actually not bad, but I can make a lot more money for my time if I'm just coaching people. Well, sure. What's the value of being able to have in my bio and on my website that I write for T Nation, that I write for Generation Iron, that I write for Barband? And, you know, I want to achieve more of this stuff because I value that. That's something I like. I like writing. And it creates, and I hate thinking in terms of status games. I don't like that language, but let's understand that people do think, and they look at someone shares something that you posted and their followers see it. And then they go to your profile and they look and, well, Don's got 300,000 followers. He's got a blue check mark. Oh shit. Guy's got a relationship with muscle and fitness. He's a gym owner. He's used to own this gym, has worked with these people. These are all really established pieces of career capital that validates someone's decision to go, this is someone worthy of my attention. And I think that's something we should always be working towards. And it's not to look down on someone who hasn't accomplished it or any coach listening, but it's to say, what are some ways? Can you do a really killer job with YouTube? Maybe you're not a great writer. I still think it's a skill worth developing, but do you crush on YouTube? You probably know who Omar Isuf is, right? Like
I've heard that name, but I haven't been to his YouTube channel.
Omar is probably one of my favorite examples of someone who is like really primarily just YouTube, because there's a lot of people who've done YouTube and everything else, but Omar is like huge with YouTube. Or someone who, I mean, you and I have been throwing around names of like guys who've been writing, and girls for that matter, who've been writing for major publications for a long time. Ben Bruno. Ben got to start, he worked for Boyles, but then he got a lot of attention through T Nation, and now he's working with celebrities. So there's all this stuff that you can do to build all this backbone to a career, then people will start paying attention to you. And I think the mistake, I think it can be done, but I think the mistake is to go to social media first and say, what kind of wizardry do I apply to social media to grow social media? You want to do that, just go buy a whole bunch of fake followers. It'll kill your engagement, but you can the appearance of a large following. right?
Well, we've also seen like some really successful, I've seen, I'm not going to mention names, but I've seen some incredibly uber successful people um, start an online business, and they've had great timing. They've had great teams around them. They might have started it back in, 12 or 13 when this thing was all starting to kind of snowball, and, they crushed it. And listen, more power to them. It's like, it's for the taking. Back then, I was saying, oh, I'm not going to 2012. I was like, oh, social media, I'm not doing it. It's like, all right, well, that's my fault, right? Like, that was my blindness in the moment to say, oh, this is my private life. No, this is a great tool for me. This is a great tool for people. And because I didn't want to jump on that a few years earlier, that's my loss. Like, so I can't look at the person who might not be as intelligent, as smart, or, no, they approach it, because you know what? It's like someone like you, Andrew. If you didn't learn a thing more about training, about wellness, about health, if you never improved your education by an inkling, it doesn't matter. Like for someone like you learn because you like to be stimulated and you like to learn. And I think that was the proof back then that those people, though they didn't know nearly as much as someone like yourself, they still had the intuition. They still had that belief that, all right, this is going to go somewhere, and I'm going to put my eggs into this basket, and it worked and it hit. So when people criticize others, like, I'm like, okay, maybe they're not as smart, but they might have been smarter in another area than we were because they did it earlier, right? So good on them.
The bottom line is, how many people are you affecting and making lives better, and how
1000%.
are you doing with your business in the grand scheme of things, right? And I think there's many different roads. I don't remember, there's a thought I had in there that you said, but oh yeah, like, I've been coaching now 11 years. I've got 20,000 in-person sessions in my career, and I know that work volume. And I think a lot of people still get rooted in, well, let's read another article on how to do a Romanian deadlift. Let's read another article about how to help people lose body fat. You guys know this stuff. And it's a productive way of procrastinating and soothing that sense that you're doing something useful, when I think a lot of people would be better served by focusing on being a better writer, learning some of these business skills, working on the email list, get that done. I had a good friend of mine who does this stuff. I hired her to set up my email list because I don't know that shit at all. And while it's growing gradually and I still have to do some critical shit, I have to get a good lead magnet. That's the thing. I actually have to do it. I have to create the time for it. But it's way further along the process than I once was. So everybody listening, this is important stuff. Don, where do people find you online? Where do they find your programs?
I love
your stuff.
You can go to Don, and I appreciate that. You can go to donsaladino.com. My Instagram's Don Saladino. Appreciate it. This is a lot of fun for me to come on. And you just said that you're struggling with the lead magnet. You already have them. You already have your lead magnets. You have 1,000 lead magnets. Just take, honestly, like, you are a very, 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 very smart coach. Like, give away a day of the program. It's incomplete, but just say, hey guys, this is a sample. This is a sample of one day of this, of the 16-week block training that I put together. And all you need to do is put in your email list. And here's week 2, day 1. There's your lead magnet. It's done.
You're absolutely right. And like, I have 2 of them. They're up here in my mind. I just
you don't have to write them. They're already done. You like,
yeah, they're done.
I'm like, what? You have 11 years of lead magnets. You can give me one every week, and you wouldn't be giving away the ranch. That's another thing. When I built a really big email following in March of 2020, and I keep telling this story, I gave away a month. I gave away a 4-week block, all videos, all body weight, because no one had access to gyms, and most people didn't have access to dumbbells. So I remember rolling up my carpet with my wife, her sitting there with the iPhone and filming me like all night. It was like a 50 or 60 exercise library video, and we gave it to every publication known to man. People were like, why are you giving it away? I'm like, I'm not charging for it right now. Like, what the hell else am I gonna do? I collected 150,000 emails that month.
Wow.
That's a lot of emails, right? Like, don't be afraid to give away free shit is what I try and tell people. Like, the worst thing's gonna happen is, you know what, you'll have a couple people who just continue to take advantage and they don't sell, but you'll still gain some loyal following out of that.
Brilliant advice. Yeah, I have the immediate challenge, and it is something I'm committed to doing. I have the immediate challenge. I have get a presentation ready. So it's now official. I'll be sharing it on my social media. right away, but a presentation for Kabuki Education Week in early January. So I'm presenting
Good
it
for
there.
you.
That's kind of cool. That's a
Where's
big
that?
one. That's a virtual thing. So that's Kabuki Strength. That's Chris Duffin's company. And
Yes.
they've got, I think it's probably about 50 speakers across a week. They did it last year for the first time because they did it virtually because of what was going on in the world. And so they're doing it again. I got a feeling it's going to be an annual thing. And so I have, and I'm going to base my presentation on the article that I just published about, growing a brand and following, and they're excited about it. So that's cool. And then I have the coach that I mentor and works with me at Evolve, Bailey Lau, and I want everybody to go follow her too. She and I are going to be putting together a group training platform for intermediate women, basically. And I'm doing this in part because it's something that I want to do as a framework to do something later on for myself. But Bailey's doing a really killer job. My client Larry is quite well known to my Instagram following. He's 71 and he's just as strong as an ox. And so when I'm traveling, when I was in Seattle with you, Bailey trains Larry. So I trust her that much. So she's really super. So we're going to do something together. And the goal is to help launch her online coaching business and support her. Right? I'm a big believer in supporting other people any way I can. I've got someone who I trust in my space. So I'll throw support behind her because I'm, at this point as busy as I want to be. And one of the challenges I have is I have to now turn around and create systems and build some things where I can scale aspects of my career, which leads to helping more people and setting a good example to other coaches who've been following my media, and ultimately earn more of a livelihood, which I think is, it's not ignoble to earn a bigger livelihood.
Oh, listen, you're on your way, man. I think you're taking a great approach. I love your, I love your vibe. I love what you're doing. Just continue to connect, continue to write. You mentioned Barbend. I know my buddy Andrew Gutman. I don't know if you know Andrew. He's over there.
He's my editor. He's great. Yep.
Okay. You tell Andrew I love that guy. First off, one of the funniest guys. I mean, unbelievable person. And I did a lot of work with him at M&F, and we have a lot of funny stories. But what I'm hearing Barbend's doing over there is incredible stuff. I touched base with Andrew a few weeks ago. Great person. So send him my best. Tell him that I was on.
I'll shoot him a message. No, thanks, Don.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Send me that article. I want to read that article, and send me the name. Send me Bailey's full name too. I want to check her out.
All right. I'm going to send you both of that. Everybody tuning in, thank you for listening. Go follow Don, please. Go check out his media. He's been someone I've really been inspired by.
Thanks,
and I'm really grateful to get to share you. So I'm pulling people on here that I really believe in. I think will be great examples and role models for you guys. So go check them out and stay tuned, because I'm going to record another episode this afternoon with Jonathan Goodman, and you guys will get that next week.
Awesome. And Andrew, when you get out here to the barn, we'll go bend some iron in here, right?
I will visit New York just to do that. Thanks, brother.
Let me know.